Welcome to the Condor DM Show. Welcome. welcome. I wasn't sure if I was going to even have time to do this tonight, and I don't usually guarantee these things on a night like tonight, but I'm free, so here I am. Energy is here and there. Some people will, the way they criticize other YouTubers or what they're doing, I don't get it. And there's always an implication that somehow they are better than another YouTuber that does tabletop role playing and content. Like they don't do drama, and they'll say, I don't do drama. I just come on here and talk about the game. It's like, okay, first off, I believe I do that too. But I think the problem is for a lot of guys on here is, well, first off, you have to ask them, what do they mean by drama? Right? I get just think I'm talking about the hobby and the game, but it's, and in my view, I'm not wrong if you take it from my view, but from their view, because I'm saying things they don't agree with, what they don't agree with is drama. Like you just saying something that they don't agree with, that means you're being controversial. You're being dramatic. You could be pushing back against a very popular agenda that people think they have established something in the hobby. And here you come with a statement that is harshly pushing back on what they believe is finally an established, like, this is the way it is. Nope. I come along. Nope. Here's another argument that really brutalizes what you think is true, what you want to establish. And there's a lot of things people in the hobby want to establish that is they really can't justify, or they'll think in a simple way that what they say is justified without reasoning, right? Like, so it's I always see these YouTubers out there. First off, they're implying that somehow they do better content or they're better tabletop role playing game YouTubers, and they're like, well, I just do it about the game. I don't do drama. And I'll be like, I'm thinking to myself, I know there's some, in some cases are hinting towards somebody like me, but I'm like, well, I think I just talk about the game and the hobby too. But it's that the person has a bias against what I'm saying. It's not that I'm not talking about the hobby or the games. It's just that they'll paint in their minds what I'm saying as drama. That's, I get on that quite often because it's so often happening here, where I keep drilling on the point that if you say something a lot of people don't agree with, they will falsely paint what you're saying or what you're doing as being something it's not, because they have a biased view of what you're doing. Like if I was doing the same thing but saying what they agree with, suddenly it'd be okay and it wouldn't be drama. But if I do that and I'm saying something that they disagree with, the same action in their biased thinking suddenly becomes drama. Right? It's just I think so many people are unfair in the hobby. It is really an unfairness, and it's like they paint a false picture and they stay there, and that's it. And that, like, for example, if I say things they don't agree with, and it's painted as me starting drama, it's just that it stays there. I don't know how many guys that will come along. Oh, oh, give me a moment, fellas. Give me a moment. Sorry about that very unprofessional, un-YouTubey moment. It's what you call people apologizing to me as they're walking in. You're doing YouTube, right? Like, yeah, I'm sorry. Like, dude, sorry doesn't cut it sometimes. Sorry doesn't cut it sometimes. It's not how that works here. But yeah, it's I get disappointed. I really do. And I look, people get mad like Steve, why don't you be more casual when you come on here and just like talk and have fun? I'm like, dude, I do that in real life. When I get on YouTube, it's a platform. I like all. It's like, why do I push a heat at things? It's because I'm here to make an impact. If I want to go shoot the shit with people and have fun, I'll do that privately. Like that's usually my aim, right? Privately, I'll go do that. But it's like here, it's on YouTube, dude. I'm here to make an impact, right? It's the open square of ideas. I'm here to make an impact. Just a major thing for me, and I hate when people falsely continuously paint everything you do as a certain thing. But as I was saying before, I got interrupted there for a second. So many people will paint me as like, say, I harshly respond. So like when I respond, I'm pretty brutal. In the past, right? I don't do it anymore. But I'm good. I'm good at like if people pick at me, I'm really good at. How can I say? I'll be honest. It's not like I aim to do it. Hey, Bill. Hey, what's up, Bill? But Bill, you're new to me, so you wouldn't know like my old content. But I took a lot of it down. When people talk shit, they just don't know that I'm really good. Like if people talk shit to me and keep attacking me, and they're like nerds and they're doing it very soft, and in their minds, it's they're not really sociable people. Like they're really not being that harsh, not as harsh as people can be outside of the nerd world of the hobby, right? And they'll talk some shit to me. Now, when I come back at people sometimes in the past, I could be extremely brutal, extremely brutal. I mean, so brutal that a guy would do 20 streams on me, lying about me, insulting me. And I could make a 5-minute video coming back at that guy. And I'd be so brutal in my video coming back at him that only I would be painted up as the attacker. I remember that. And then I would hear YouTubers going on and talking about, I don't get why there's other tabletop role playing game guys that do YouTube that have to do this negative, dramatic content. And they're only aiming that at me. And I'm so brutal that they forget that it's like, well, what about the guy I'm responding to? He did 20 streams on me. He has almost 10,000 K subs. He's done 20 streams on me, lying, insulting, verbally attacking all the time. I get that he's not that harsh. He's really weak, but he's doing it anyway. Bad intent, but not good at what he's doing. And here I am brutally coming back at this guy. And I know it's going to be effective. What I'm going to say is going to be just socially devastating. I am a brutal cunt when I want to be, right? I'm really like nasty. And people realize right away that like I have iron skin. Like you can't hurt me, especially if you're a nerd. Talking some nerdy crap to me is not going to work. That's weak. That's weak. I'm going to brush you off like you're nothing, right? It's like, I'm sorry. I'm just going to. I've been through very verbal disagreements. I've been in the political debate realm. I can handle a lot of crap being thrown at me. It's like I get to nerds and it's like, guys, trust me, I'm not going to react the way you want me to. I'm going to react in a way that's going to sting. This is going to sting. I'm going to be very good at what I do. But I'd be so good at it, people will forget what I'm responding to. Or in some cases, I think they just didn't want to even pay attention. But yeah, I'm only coming out tonight because I noticed YouTubers the other night again. They imply that they're better than other people because they'll paint what you're doing as drama. Like I don't do drama. I do just content on games. So I'm like, well, I stopped doing the reaction to people. And I don't paint anything I do as drama. Like anything. I talk about the hobby and talk about the games. And it's like, well, you're doing drama content. Well, that's your perception of what I'm doing. Like if I'm critical about a part of the hobby, it's not to hate on people. It is just a critical public statement. Now, again, I had another statement the other night. Why do you care what I do at my table? Somebody said to me. I'm like, I don't. But if you don't like what I say, what you could do is deceitfully paint what I'm saying as me wanting to tell you how to game. Even though it doesn't have to be perceived what I'm doing that way. I'm not directly saying anything that you could imply in some direct statement I made that I want you to change how you play at your table. But if you could paint it that way, people in the hobby see that as a very negative thing to do, is by telling other people what they should do at their table. Now, if you can't directly say, like, here's a statement where he's doing it, but you just want to paint it as that's what I'm doing, that's an easy way to call me an awful person. And then you can dismiss the public criticism you don't want to hear. Like, people forget, like, I'm a YouTuber. We have a public discussion going on here. There's a public, topic. It's a public discussion. I always tell people, this is not me coming to your table and telling you what to do. I don't care what you do at your table. I'm part of a wider public dialogue. And I always tell the viewers, if you're bothered by what I say, first off, you don't have to falsely paint it as me telling you what to do at your table. I'm not doing that. That's just a lie. You are deceiving yourself if you think that's what I'm doing. I remind people that they can always turn the channel, but what they can't do is control the dialogue. And it's when people can't censor you. Like, I remember this is what I said in the past about the forums. You would go on and say what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong in what I'm saying, but I would be banned for what I'm saying. And not because I've broken any rules or did anything wrong. It's just because at that point, they have power to censor you out of the conversation. Here, the regular viewer that's from the old school does not have the power to censor me out of the conversation. But what they want to do is then create a public pressure that would force what I'm saying to either not be taken serious or pushed out of the dialogue altogether. It's like you could tell people have the temptation to control the dialogue. It's like, dude, I get that you don't agree with what I'm saying, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's like the story stuff. That's where people get really offended by the story stuff I've been talking about lately. They've been like, I like story, so I'm a person who represents something you hate. I'm like, what am I hating? Am I hating somebody over it? Like if you listen honestly to what I say about the story stuff, I'm in a way, we're not really, there's a lot of agreement we could have there. All I'm saying is I think the language is poorly used. I think it leads to miscommunication and does extreme damage to the overall process of what we're doing and nothing good. So people could say, well, I'm going to disagree with you, but I'm like, there's many, and in fact, if you hear what I'm saying, most of what I'm saying, you'd probably agree with. The only difference that we'd have at the end of it is just saying the use of the word story or focusing on that concept, I think is a negative in extreme ways, extreme too, not just slightly, fucking brutally extreme, and misguides people on an extreme level, on a very extreme level. I'm just saying what I think, but that's somebody just to the story stuff just said, I don't get why you care about what I do at the table. And he also said, I'm someone who likes stories, so I represent people that you like or somebody that you hate. I don't hate nobody. Like it's just such a false way to paint what I'm saying. It's a public dialogue. It's healthy to have public dialogue, to say what you think. It's not like I'm sitting there going to your table ever. I really am not. It's I know there's only so many people that do this, but I think it's worth answering to because there's so many people that will dismiss what I say based on quickly painting it that way. I know that not everybody does that, but it just there's enough people out there, and people love to hear something they don't agree with, say something simple like that, and be able to dismiss me and walk away and go, ha, there, I put that in the corner. Now our argument rules over the narrative in the hobby. It's like, no, it doesn't. It's a lot of people that just think they establish stuff and then come along, like the paid game mastering stuff, paid GMing. I'm like, people, you don't know your history if you think paid GMing is completely bad. You just have to understand why have we always been against it. A lot of people don't know why something is. Like they just think it's just common sense to be against paid game mastering. I'm like, there's a reason. It's a reason most of us oppose it. Why do we oppose paid game mastering? Because the game master is already being rewarded for the job they're doing through having authority over the rules and the setting and being able to apply their creativity through that method so they can have fun, and that's how they participate in the game. And it's a social contract between them and the players. And even the games will tell you in their text. You'll see it all over the place. So it tells you not to expect. Basically, the game doesn't say it straight out, but it's saying don't expect rules as written, because it will say, well, if the game master applies this, if the game master doesn't change this, if the game master this, if the game master that. Basically, every old school tabletop role playing game is right away accepting that the one who has the authority to apply rules or the setting or anything in the game is the person that will run the game. And there's a reason that person has authority. It's because they're not being paid. Their payment, their thrill, their passion, their creativity is brought to you through the way they want to experience what they're doing. So when's the first time old school gets to a point where we actually had paid game masters that nobody complained about? People forget there is paid game masters in the history of our hobby that got paid and nobody bitched. Nobody complained. Go back to AD&D 1E, Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 1E tournament play. Tournament DMs, most of them at game shops got paid. I've never heard, in all the decades I've been here, anybody complain about tournament DMs getting paid. Now, why did the tournament DMs get paid? Well, there was no passion, no thrill of theirs. They ran it rules as written and used modules. And under that condition, that was considered real work, not something you're doing for your own fun. And since you're doing a job, you're now just serving players and not your own passion, it's okay to be paid. Tournament DMs were paid. No one's ever complained about a tournament DM getting paid. Ever. It's completely accepted. They got paid. Nobody has an issue with it. So I heard the topic of paid game mastering today, but it's coming from 5e people. I'm like, well, wait, 90% of players plus in 5e expect the game rules as written. And I hear other people going on streams where they say, well, shouldn't people just expect the game the way it is when they buy it? No. And even the old school game books especially, made it very clear that you're not getting exactly what you see in the book. You might be getting a framework, but there's a full authority is given over to the game master for how they apply anything or put anything out to you, so they can apply their own ideas, put their own ideas in there for their own passion, their own thrill, their own fun. But if you want tournament style rules as written game mastering, that's a stripping away of passion and creativity from the game master. That is just pure work and pure, that's being servile completely to the player and not your own needs as a game master. I'm like, okay, if a player wants you to be a slave at that stage, no, you pay them. Like, they have the right to ask for, they can do it for free, but they have the right, they're completely justified to say, okay, when I work like anybody who works like that in life, when you're just doing your job, your incentive to keep going back there. Like, your boss can say, really good job. And it's like, yeah, dude, that's really nice. But I mean, unless I get a paycheck in 2 weeks, that's not going to be good enough. And that's the same thing with serving players when you're not serving your own passion. It could be nice that they're happy on that first night or two, but it's like, dude, I have to, like, there has to be an incentive. That's why most 5e DMs flake out. That's why you get the majority of 5e DMs completely flaking out, the guys that run it as is. Now, I know there's exceptions out there, but I always have to remind those people when I meet them. I'm like, dude, okay, you're 1 out of 1,000 DMs in the 5e world. You can do what you want. Your players are, your friends are accepting of this. Yeah. Yeah, but you're 1 out of 1,000, dude. It's like, I'm glad that you exist. I'm not actually opposed to you existing, but you do not represent 5e. You don't represent the majority. You represent a tiny, tiny, tiny minority that really does not speak for the experience of the vast majority of people trying to run 5e. So I just heard this from 5e people talking about paid game mastering. I'm just like, no, if you expect the DM to be a slave, no, there's no slavery. You pay them. If not, the players in the 5e world en masse have to adjust. I'm a second edition AD&D DM. our players knew right away what was up, and if a second edition player stepped out of line and tried to enforce some, well, that's not what it says. I wouldn't have to speak up, even though I would. The other players would, because we created a culture where it's like, no, the book is not the authority of the game. You go back to Vecmi, the book is not the authority of the game. You go back to AD&D, the book is not the authority. You go to Traveler, the book is not the full authority. Go to any game, Call of Cthulhu. You'll even see hints in there. It depends on what the game master is going to do. You can even go to the story games, and it will say what a game master should do, but it will always still remind you, hey, it's if the game master is going to run with that. Because it's reminding you that the game master can either enjoy, they can find their joy in running it as is. Some can. I'm not saying that's not the case. But many will find joy in having an alternative experience with that game. And for that reason, the freedom has to be there for them to do it. If not, you will not develop people to run that game in any credible way. That's why in 5e, 80% of DMs flake out. Like completely, at least that's what I've seen. That's why we have what you call mini game cons here. You go there, and the majority of games being played are OSR, old school, barely any 5e. And when 5e first came out, they start at a surplus. What happens? Most of the guys that were running games all flaked out. Well more than 80%. And the guys that I see coming down there now, they won't be there for long. These are not going to be dedicated guys, because 5e dries you completely out as a DM. And the few guys that do stick around are the few guys that can actually make changes and go through the headache of taking their time to recruit. Some get lucky. Most don't. So when we casually in the old school talk about paid game mastery stuff, I'm just like, well, it's right. If a game master has the authority over the rules, the setting, and can do what they want, yeah, they're getting what they're already getting paid, not money. They're getting paid with being able to do what they think that they want to do, create in a creative way. They get to play out to their passion. They get to have a fun experience just like players do with their characters. They're paid. That's it. And no, I really don't think I do dramatic content. I don't do drama content. I don't even attack people. I talk about the topic, and I think the participating, not just talking about the games, but talking about the hobby is completely healthy. And there's nothing dramatic about that. I cover games, and I cover things in the hobby, issues. And it's public dialogue. That's all it is. And so anyone out there painting it as I'm coming to your table and telling you what to do, I'm not. And if you like to play the game where you look at it as storytelling, or what a story is important to you, no matter what I say, at no point am I coming to your table and telling you how to do this. I'm telling you what I think publicly. And I tell people, if you don't like that, you can't control the dialogue, but you can turn the channel. You have the right to do that. You don't have to listen to me. But you can't shut me up as well to control the narrative in the hobby either. Right? You have to let things play out. It's like, a lot of times they'll say it's dramatic what I'm saying, but I'm like, well, there's the opposition to what I say, right? That's publicly stated. Are you okay with that? Yeah. That's not how this works, dude. We're in the open square of ideas. I'll lay my opinion down that's opposed to another idea, right? And it's which one is sound, which one has evidence behind it, which one holds up, which one is fact, say, compared to opinion. And in the open square of ideas, the best ideas, the most honest ideas, they stand up and they win. And that means sometimes you might not get your way because the thing that you want is not justified. Sometimes it's just you and you can't pretend that it is. You can do what you want at your table, but you can't sit there and get people publicly to support what you're doing and give it legitimacy if publicly it just is not accepted that way. Like you can't force people to say, yeah, what you're doing is credible if what you're doing doesn't really have that support, not in any real way. And if the only way you can justify what you're doing is to have the person with the opposite opinion be censored, be kicked, be shut down. That's the only way what you say can hold up in the public. That means what you're pushing is weak. You should, if you have a good idea, you should never be worried about what somebody else says. Good ideas that are backed up by facts, a sound argument, you should be completely confident that they can be challenged and they'd still win. So, like right away, I know when I hear ideas out there that people get really insecure about, I'm just like, okay, most likely there's a good chance that argument will not hold up under public pressure. It just won't. And I like to make an impact with YouTube. I'll be honest with you guys. I know that's not what everybody wants to hear. It's not always popular content either, but I like to make an impact. That's why I don't always worry about coming here and shooting the shit with people. But there you go. That's the half an hour of that, because I've had a few comments where I've been like, not just one guy, like in the last 3 days, it's been like 5 people doing the same accusations. Like, you hate me. You're coming to my table to tell me how to play the game. And I get it's only a minority of voices, but they do represent people. They do represent other people not speaking up. It doesn't mean they represent a majority. It's like, dude, I want to take this away from you. I just want to make sure you know that I personally, you can paint it in your head as I hate you. I don't hate you. I don't hate people for disagreeing with me. I never have. I don't. That's foolish. That's childish. You like to use the word story and focus on storytelling as a thing. You think it is when I don't. Okay, fair enough, dude. I don't hate you. I just disagree with you. Or you're coming to the table, dude. I don't care what anybody does at their table. I never will. And if I see you doing something at your table I don't agree with, I'm not going to come up to your table in public or anywhere and preach at you. There's plenty of guys that openly game in front of me at gaming groups where I go, and like I'll even watch what they're doing, but unless they ask, I don't tell them what I think. I don't sit there and criticize. I don't make faces. Like, I don't even do that. Like, if you've never heard me on YouTube and I seen one of your games, you would never walk away from that thinking Steven didn't like what we were doing, or Steven had a problem, because I have a poker face. Like, I will not show you that I have an issue with what you're doing. I'm not going to bother. It's just not. It's childish. So people that know me in person that don't know about my YouTube stuff, they have no idea. They have no idea I have an issue or I disagree with their views. But they'll never ever think I have an issue with what they're doing at their table. And the truth is, I really don't. I'm not mad. I'm not sitting there upset. I can hear people going, yeah, like this is how we like to tell the story. This is how we collaborate in the story. I'll be like, oh, cool. I won't say that, but it just, I mean, I won't sit there and go debate them at their table. I don't do that. It's like, look, I come here to YouTube. That's it. It's a public platform. And when I speak, I want to make an impact on people. That's all. And I want to impact the conversation. That's important to me. And I want to impact it with truth, not just falsities. All right. So there you go. So I don't care. I don't care if you like to view the story thing. Do I still think it's devastatingly bad for the overall hobby going forward? Would I like the pushback on the language, because with future generations coming in, would I like to see them see things more accurately? Yes, because I think the use of story and storytelling is a very inaccurate way to look at what we're doing and the importance of what we're doing. It's like you're in the middle of playing the gaming session, yes? Well, what about the story afterwards? Well, a lot of people, almost 90% of the people in the hobby, when they think about the story after the session being important, it affects what they're going to do in the game, in my opinion, a negative way. And for the 10% of people out there that do not have a negative view through this lens, sadly, their views are mostly ignored. and the 90% use them as a defense against credible statements I'll make. It's like they'll go to the few moderates and put them as a wall between them and me, and go, even though Stephen's making very credible statements, we want to put these moderates up in front of us so we can avoid his statements. It's either lie about me, attack me, say what I'm doing is drama, or the poor moderate who's actually quite innocent in what they're doing, and I know they have no bad intent. They're going to become a defense mechanism for something they don't even agree with. They'll actually disagree with the 90%, but they'll be up defending the 90% and even that view going forward. I'm like, that's really poisonous. So I have opinions like that, but it's just like, I don't care what you do at your table, personally, right now. But I would like to see, that's where I want to make an impact, is future generations coming in, having a more honest view of what we're doing here and what's important. Right? It's like, I like them to hear not just that side of the argument, like storytelling when we're not storytelling. Story is important when the session is important, not the story afterwards. So that's where I'll make a big issue with that, because I think that's true. And I want, when people are coming into the hobby, to hear not just the other side, but to hear opinions like mine, so they can consider just how important the session is over the focus of the other things, right? That's why I think it's so important. That's why when people try to, even the nice people that I know, sort of casually try to dismiss it, like, it's okay, we just play whatever game. Just shut up, man. No, because you're not saying that to the ocean behind you. So the ocean gets to keep preaching, and your words are not aimed there to shut them down. Your words are only aimed at me, and the intent behind your words, we can just play whatever. It is to shut me up. It is to say what I'm saying is meaningless. Well, guess what? You're not aiming it that way. And if you can't play both sides of the fence correctly, don't aim it at me. Right? So that's why I make a big issue. There you go. That's why I don't do drama content. I don't care what anybody says. Well, you're doing the old school tabletop role-playing game community. If I criticize parts of the community, that's public dialogue criticism, not of individuals, of things I see as bad practice. And I notice all kinds of people out there that will say things a lot of people in the old school, for example, they'll actually make these critical type of statements as well. Nobody paints up what they're saying as drama. It's like every time somebody's blocked, well, that person is anti-free speech. That's why I did my free speech gimmick the other day. People disagree with each other. They'll hate each other. Like, I have to explain, I block for reasons of deceit and insults, right? But most people block in the old school, for example, because, well, that guy said that something you don't like, so now you hate him. That's stupid. So people can continue to believe what they want. Stephen does drama. Sure, dude. Yep. I don't. And I'm actually responding to what other people are saying publicly, so I don't know how I'm doing drama and they're not. Right? So I just hear the topic. Everything is a response. Almost just about everything outside of just covering games I want to cover. It's a response. So if you think the topic is dramatic, why initiate it in the first place? And there's a lot of people around the hobby that want to live in a bubble, a protective bubble, where they can come out and say something in public. And they really believe in their minds that unless you say something positive as a response to what they say, in their minds, you are causing drama by saying something negative towards what they want to say. Meaning, if you criticize their statement, that's wrong. No, it's not, dude. No, it's not. Never will be. There you go. But what it does for me is talking the way I do and being open is sooner or later, fair-minded people come along, and I'm looking for a specific people in the audience, the overall audience. I'm looking for intellectual people, people that can see nuance and complexity, people that are willing to engage in debate, people that can handle hearing opinions they don't want to hear. And I know that's not the vast majority at the bottom end of it, right? Where I'm just picking away at people before you build up credibility with more people. But I rather build up an audience of people that can handle shit. That's it. So they're like, Steven, why you talk about this stuff? It doesn't get you a lot of likes and a lot of subs. I'm like, well, yeah, but it's right now. I'm picking away at people where I just don't want the shallow side of the audience. Like, I'm okay without them. If you're shallow, go away. If you push an agenda and you can't handle somebody saying something back to what you're saying, go away. I don't care. If you call somebody responding in a critical way to open dialogue in the hobby, drama, go away. If you falsely paint what I'm doing is me coming to your table and telling you what to do, go away. I'm not doing that. If you paint what I'm saying is meaning is if I say something I don't like about the game means I hate you because you like it, go away. Just it's not what I don't want good people to go away. I just want shallow people just to, yeah, okay, fair enough, skip me by. I'm okay with that. Skip me by. But even if you skip me by, no one's going to deny my impact on the hobby. Not around the old school. There you go. And the temptation to respond to me is I say interesting things. I know I do. Enough to cause conflict. And if the audience is mad, other YouTubers definitely want to talk about me. And it's not like I do that on purpose. People think I'm manipulating the YouTubers that speak about me all the time. They're like, well, Condor did it again. He has people talking about him. He has YouTubers talking about him. I'm like, dude, I'm not doing that. That's on them. That's what you call desperate for content. That's them manipulating themselves. They're desperate for content. Not my fault. Just being real. What weird some people out is I say a lot of things people actually agree with too. So imagine if you hate me for other things, but then I say something you agree with very strongly. So I notice a lot of guys out there, if I say something they like, suddenly old school YouTubers definitely have to start repeating what I said as if it came from them because they still want that to be part of their dialogue. They actually think what I said is credible, but they cannot take this positive statement into their dialogue as if it comes from me. So in a way, it's like this other old school YouTuber has to repeat what I said because for them to take that idea into their open community and accept it, it has to come from somebody they like that's a yes man. That's strange. So I notice a lot of people copy me just because it's hey. What can I say? Be more open minded. It would be healthy. And the way they paint you up here too is I have a good sense of humor privately. Like I laugh all the time. Like I joke with people all the time. I fucking poke at people and have a lot of fun. And people were more open. They know that about me. I'm just a fuck around type of guy. I do that in private. I just don't do it in public all the time. Like I have a history back in 2016. What a lot of people don't know is I spent a lot of time on Reddit being a troll. So I have a great sense of humor. I just don't always pour it out here. And usually people see me as being at war with them. And so, okay, let's, whatever. Let's do that, kid. Let's go to war, right? Whatever works for you. I don't care. Oh, I've heard the Bill, if you're still around. So I heard you guys doing some new content on Mysteria, and they were talking about that recently, but they couldn't mention me, even though I covered Mysteria, gave it props, pushed it up. It'd be great. I mean, it'd probably be a benefit if they could mention what I mentioned from my stream and their thing and bring me up as relates to Mysteria, but they couldn't. They just spend a short stream talking around me, like around it. I'm like, dude, come on, man. But I'm Voldemort for a lot of people. They can't mention my name, so I'm just like, oh, okay, fair enough. Because I'm a good promotion. There's a guy out there, I don't want to mention his name because I mean, anytime I mention a name, even if it's positive, would be as an attack. I'd have him on, interview him about his Mysteria product because I love Mysteria, but I can't because well, he probably paints me as one of these so-called dramatic people, probably has a completely false picture of who I am in his mind, right? And you want to know what the other thing is? My content when I criticize the overall hobby, instead of that being honestly just taken as me responding to what I hear and it being public dialogue on the topic of the hobby and the games, that part of my content is called drama. So to a lot of guys, because I do that type of commentary, that makes me a bad person in their eyes. I'm like, dude, I don't do it to be a bad person. Well, I'm just responding to what a lot of other people are saying. So they're obviously having commentary on the hobby as well. You're not bitching at them. You're just bitching at me because I'm saying things you don't want to hear. I wish people would be more fair because there's a lot of guys I could bring on an interview, which would be fun. My interviews are actually really good. Everyone has said that. Even some of my like deepest haters around the tabletop role playing game hobby have said, "Well, he does good interviews." I'm like, "Yeah, I do. I do a lot of good things. They just don't want to accept." It's like, would it be fun for me to interview this guy? Yes, it would. It'd be fun for the audience, even parts that don't like me. I guarantee. Put a certain person on with me, I'll make it fun. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. That's why I look forward to the AJ interview because I already got some questions written down for him that I'm going to ask him that I think are going to be a lot of fun for him to really be able to talk about who he is. And I don't know how deep he's went in on who he is or his history, but I think he'll have a lot of fun telling us about it. And even started to read his game, so I have questions for that already, which I think I don't do gotcha questions or anything like that. To me, it's all about having a good time. So all my questions are aimed at making it easier for AJ to speak. It's like, what would get him thinking in the positive realm? Like, let him nerd out on stuff. That will be every question I ask people when I bring them on. And everybody who's come on to do interviews with me will say the same thing. It's like, it's what he does. It's what I do. I ask questions to let you, not to catch you off, but to make it easier because I know I'm going to ask you questions that you can purposely easily talk to. I do that on purpose. That's because I want the people that come on here to nerd out and have a good time. I want it to be entertaining for them, for the people watching. So I don't do these like, here, let me ask you a gotcha question that's going to challenge you and make you uncomfortable. I'm not a journalist. So I don't do journalist questions. I think about questions like, okay, obviously he has a lot to say about that he'll be able to nerd out on that question. Here you go. Here you go, dude. Let's do that one. Right? So all my questions are about making it easy for people to talk. Like easy. Right? Not hard at all. It's going to be easy. The whole point of the interview I do is just to go, okay, if we're here for 2 or 4 hours, every time I ask you a question, it's going to give you a reason to just stuff that you want to talk about. And everyone who's come on has told me that's been positive. I'm like, yeah, I know. Because that's my aim, right? I want to have fun. And I don't bring people on here to be hateful or to do gotcha or to do drama. So it's gonna be fun with the aging on the weekend there. Uh, yeah, that's gonna be the aim. To have a good time. And the Palladium talk he wants to have too. Uh, yeah, it's just deciding what games we want to talk about, right? Because I want to find out what, like, I'm probably going to message him here soon in the next day or two and just tell him what games I really have experience with Palladium. And I know he's a Palladium guy. I know he likes a lot of Palladium gaming stuff. So find out what he wants to talk about just so I could, make sure I'm up to snuff on things so we can have a good talk about these things. And yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, me and him both like Unlimited Heroes, so I'm very happy about that. I don't know if he's played the stuff like the Robotech or anything, but I mean, he probably has, right? And I know some Palladium guys out there that even one personally has come to me privately and just said, "Oh man, that's a great," because there are Palladium people. It's like great that you got AJ coming on. Like I want to watch that one, right? Because they're Palladium guys and they want to hear what he has to say. I'm like, well, geez, okay, yeah. I mean, AJ is quite a popular guy, so I'm quite happy he's gonna come on, talk, and have a good time. See, people are like, why would that AJ guy talk to you? I'm like, dude, here's what happens. I tell old school people this all the time. When you don't have a biased mindset against me, I look completely different to people. I tell them that all the time outside of their bubble. Outside of your bubble, people look at me differently, extremely differently. They just do not have the bias against me that you have. So they're not going to hold me to the unrealistic standards that you hold me to. That's all. I've been around this for a minute too, so it's like, I've been around here for a long time. So really happy about that. Uh, that will be fun. And I think AJ knows it's going to be fun because if he's watching any of the stuff and he's seen me talk, like I'm good. I'm good. Just that will be fun. Usually I'm on here to make an impact or something, but also, I mean, when I bring people on, I want to have fun. It's a fun thing. And looking forward, there's another thing I have going on here with Bill and some other people. So I soon hope to get people pitching me characters, but it's really on them. I can't force characters to come in. They have a pitch for a campaign. They need to pitch characters at me. I can't make the characters for them. I've given them everything they need to know. All they got to do is ask me questions if there's any issue with that. Like, so Bill, that link to the campaign I put up there, that has everything, dude. So the only thing left for you for any players that want to play that game is for them to go do something. And if there's any difficulties, just ask me questions. There's no limitations on what characters you can make. My suggestion is just to maybe mention out loud what you'd like to make. See what the other people have to say. But I can't drive home character creation for people. So that's where I limit. It's like I can't make the character for you. I'm not going to do that. So should soon be able to actually do an online campaign. And I'm excited about that. I haven't done something online in a long time. There you go. And sorry if I seem a little dry tonight. I'm just I can feel a little dry. Anybody who wants to talk, they can just talk. No expectations. No expectations on anybody chatting. As far as games, let's see. I do have to do a pushback on one game, but we do got some good stuff coming up. Like I have a topic for tomorrow. Well, people do like that video. I knew they would. I knew they would. So this Thursday, I'm going to cover the Fiend Folio, and I'll purposely actually bring up some monsters and not be general. When I did the AD&D 1E monster focus, it's my point for going general on that was my reason for going at the topic. AD&D 1E starts off with the monster manual, and to me, the reason they brought that out first is I think it was Gary's way of saying this is our aim going forward. More organized, bringing stuff together, and being less flaky about how we produce stuff for the people. Like, consider me stuff coming through Dragon Magazine, stuff coming through this. Even the Unearthed Arcana is, again, packaging up later ideas they put together, and they keep refining these things. And I like how they did it. Like, I like the aim of the organization of AD&D 1E. I think the Monster Manual was a great way of doing it. It was a great way of showing what Gary and his guys wanted to do, which is go, okay, we have all these flaky things around, and you can sort of do these things, but let's bring them together and establish this stuff, like in a certain way, like come up with new ideas, advance the gameplay, and really start organizing. Because you got to think of OD&D and Beckme like the experimental phase of what you would call Dungeons and Dragons with TSR. It's imagine you do so much testing, but really there's no hobby initially, there's no market initially, and you're going to find out there is one. You're going to be inspired to go forward, but then what is, in many ways, not what D&D the game exactly is, but what is D&D in some official way, right? So there's an attempt to start bringing stuff together, being less flaky, and saying, here, we get something organized. And the tournament was a bit of aim on that. I think they failed on some of these things. Like, the tournament stuff actually failed. But I got the principle behind it. I got what they were aiming to do. And that organization, I appreciate it, because when I got the second edition, a lot of the really mint second edition stuff comes from that changeover to organizing things out. Right? And there's a lot of flawed experiments with AD or D&D through the TSR years that I really think it saddens me that we never got to what you might want to call an edition that would follow second edition, because I still think there was more experimenting, more bringing it together what it was meant to be, and I think WotC got it wrong with third edition. So I think the evolution of the game, it still wasn't where it needed to be, and WotC went in a complete different direction from the actual path I think Dungeons and Dragons was on. And I thought the organization attempt and how that represented AD&D 1E is so important to the TSR, to Dungeons and Dragons, that when I covered the monster manual for that, I didn't worry so much about covering all the individual monsters. I mean, that could have been cool in many other ways, and maybe we could do streams on individual packages of monsters later down the line, which I'm open to doing. But I thought, man, it is so important to just look at this piece of history and understand what it meant, what the organization meant, what they were trying to do, because I thought that was really important to focus on. That's why I sort of took a general view of the AD&D 1E monster manual, right? And going over the different attacks I thought were interesting. How it related to miniatures was good. The Fiend Folio, though, I'll be honest with you guys, we'll have a lot more fun with, because there are specific monsters in there that I like, and I think that was a bit of a different approach in AD&D 1E monster manual. So the Fiend Folio is sort of like a let's have some fun. I'm going to pick out a few monsters I already have that I personally like, that have some really outrageous gimmicks with them, some of them, and we'll go over that stuff, right? That will be fun. And then Teenagers from Outer Space, I don't want to say too much about that, because that's one of those like sort of weird games that a lot of people haven't heard of, but it's interesting. It's interesting. For the members only, I just want people to know, when you might hear me doing Exalted, and you might be like, most of my coverage is from 1974 to 1999 until I complete all the games that I want to cover from that. But the members only is sort of like a preview most of the time. So people will notice when I cover games for members only, it's from the year 2000 and on, like usually up to 2010. That's my package, and it's like a preview. So at one point, I will do Exalted, like a public version of it, right? And I will be covering AD&D second edition monsters, where I do cover some of the monsters. I won't have to cover the same organization as AD&D 1E, but it'll be like what were the changes from AD&D 1E to second edition, and not like the name. Like I don't care about the demon thing, but like the different take on dragons, like how they put together the monsters a little bit differently, how they advanced the ideas that were started with AD&D 1E. And then we're going to hit another conspiracy game. A lot of people are like, man, you're hitting a lot of conspiracy games. It's just like, well, I played a lot of conspiracy games and ran a lot of conspiracy games because they were fun. Conspiracy X will be on the last weekend of the month. And then Ars Magica. But a lot of people say they like it, but it's a little out there. Some people just heard about it a lot. Ars Magica is actually quite well known, but just a lot of people don't know the details. I'll cover that. And then the actual one of the few, because I've only played a few modules. I played the Temple of Elemental Evil. Joining in slowly but painfully. Baking a cake at the moment. Nothing wrong with baking a cake. The last module no, not the last module, but I've only played in a few modules. I never ran them, as I told people, but I did do the Temple of Elemental Evil, and I did do the Tomb of Horrors. Both, I would say, can be very tedious. The Tomb of Horrors, oh my. Tedious is not the word. Yeah, tedious is not the word. Tedious is not the word. Though, one of the worst DMs, I played the Tomb of Horrors twice. My second run was better. My first run is a horror story, because it wasn't just that it was Tomb of Horrors. It was, I would say to this day, one of the worst DMs I've ever played the game for. Like when you people say they have horror stories about bad DMs, the guy who ran Tomb of Horrors for me the first time I tried it, I was like, this is awful. This is so. I privately kept him to myself. I never attacked the guy or even told him. I did leave the game, right? Because it was so much not fun. But it was the worst, one of the worst DMs I've ever met in my life. It's like, there's a guy doing Raw with a module that even I would suggest you don't pay him. You just want him to leave the hobby. Just, dude, stop sitting at that table or that seat at the table. Like, that's not your seat, dude. You are not good at this at all. He was one of the worst guys I've ever played under. Because DMs that see the game as them versus the players, in my honest opinion, guys, are idiots. I know that's an extreme take, because there's a lot of people out there that are old school that will see old school D&D as the adversarial DM versus the players. I'm like, dude, here's why I've always thought that was the stupidest thing. It's like, okay, so me versus my players, what would that mean? I can just look at a player during a game anytime and just say, okay, your character falls to his knees. He's having a hard time breathing. You'd be like, what? My character falls to his knees. He's having a hard time. Yeah, having a hard time breathing. Wait a moment. Let the guy try to respond. Maybe ask a question. I'll be like, okay, he's starting to choke. He can't breathe now. Like, what's going on, dude? Like, he's trying to figure it out. The other player's trying to figure it out with their characters. His character's on his knees now, choking. Choking on what? Like, dude, you haven't been able to breathe for a moment here. You're gonna fall over. You collapse onto the ground. Your character's dead. players like, what the fuck? Like, what just happened? Like, my character's dead. And they'll all accept what I'm saying because I have the authority. Character's dead. I could look at that player right there and go, oh, I win. What kind of competition is that? Me versus players is ridiculously stupid. I don't like the adversarial DM thing. I think it's the dumbest thing in the world. I just don't get the point. Like, and to me, it leads to bad DMing because I want to, like, if I run the goblins against you, in my mind, it's not me trying to win the fight against you. It is the goblins trying to defeat you. And my job is not to be the goblins. It is to represent who they are. It is to present them in a way I think they are. It's like I've come up with the mindset, the idea that I'm trying to win. It's like, if the goblin is sneaky, I want the goblin to be sneaky because the goblin is sneaky, not because I'm being sneaky, but the goblin to defeat you in battle. And in all honesty, adversarial DMs just seem stupid to me. I just think it leads to bad DMing, and it's like I want players to, like, I want them to succeed with their characters. So I'll represent the goblins. I've never looked at the game as me versus them. I put a trap in front of them. That's a challenge, not me trying to win. So I just think mindset is like, if at any point you're using goblins in a way that you're trying to win, it goes from goblins being who they are in a real sense to it's a video game. It's like, what are you doing, dude? DM, you're actually not the goblins. You're just representing them. In a way, I want that with the players too. Players don't understand that. Like, it's like, the reason I want you to develop who the character is because at one stage, I want you to do what the character would do. We want to definitely make sure the character develops to be able to play with the team. But just say you as a player in a video game might not rush out to fight something. But if your character would, I do want you to be true to character, not true to a character that is opposed to the team play of the game, right? We definitely want to develop a character that plays well to the point of the game. But I definitely want you to be challenging, going, okay, you might hide behind the rock, but your character wouldn't. So, dude, you're going to have to get up with your character and go out there. And that's because I want you to represent the character, not yourself. I don't want you playing. If Tom's playing, I don't want Tom the fighter, Tom the cleric, Tom the thief. I want whoever his thief is. If his thief would do something he wouldn't, I want him to represent the thief. I never look at the goblins as being me. I never look at orcs as being me. I never look at monsters as being me. So the idea that I'm trying to defeat you in battle in a tabletop role-playing game is the dumbest fucking concept I've ever heard in my life. I never had it in my head. It didn't even cross my mind. I would hear players over the years like, we beat you. I'm like, well, no, you beat the goblins. Trust me. They're like, why? Well, if I want to win, I'll just say your character's dropped dead. And I have the absolute authority to do that right away. I will win anytime I want. Well, it's cheating. No, it's not. I have the authority. I can say your character's dropped to their knees right now and die. That's completely legit in the game. That's how much authority I have here. So the concept that it's me versus you is the dumbest thing in the world. And when I would hear DMs like, what, are you mad? Say, if your players are successful, are you mad that they're successful? I don't get that either. So the mindset of player versus DM thing, I've never understood that in my life. It never even crossed my mind. The concept never even went into my head. Like right away, I got lucky. I went in with a DM. My first DM in D&D was the guy who just presented the orcs as the orcs, not as himself. Because a guy was wickedly intelligent. I mean, if the orcs were him, the orcs could kick our ass quite often, right? But he's purposely putting limitations. Some orcs were credible, some orcs were idiots, some goblins are credible, some goblins are fucking idiots when it comes to battle. But he's being realistic about the enemy and not making them just pieces on a board or a video game. And I like that concept. And he was always happy when we succeeded. The point was to not prevent us from succeeding. The point was just his job is to make sure challenges are in front of us. And then when we succeed, good. We get a reward. He's happy to see us get through. He wants to see us level up. He wants to get to the point where he can do more stuff with us. Right. So that I never encountered the DM versus player thing. And I never took that into my mindset as a DM. So when I finally met the DM versus player thing, that was the Tomb of Horrors. It was the Tomb of Horrors guy. Like, dude, are you just happy? Like we got into a fight where two characters got killed and we had to back off. We had to escape. And the guy was happy that two players lost their characters. I was like, dude, you had the ability just to say we drop to our knees and die. What the fuck is this? What kind of bullshit is this? And it was terrible DMing. Just suddenly the goblins stopped fighting like you would think goblins would fight you. It turned straight into a video game. It was the most horrendous DMing I've ever encountered in my life. And the DMing mindset came straight from DM versus player. I was like, so I realized right away, and I still to this day realize that DM versus player leads to piss poor DMing. So sorry, anybody out there that promotes DM versus player or adversarial DM shit. I think it's honestly dumb. And I think it's dumb to even argue for it. I think even the concept is stupid. And it's not a natural concept in D&D. So people pretend that it is. No, it's not. The game is not even made for it. It's not even made for you to be versus your players. So I never understood that. Like, what is this from? Got to respond to that one. I had a GM like that in Vampire Masquerade Dark Ages. It was horrible. He even aggressively got up and forced replicas of the items on. Yeah. At that point, that's why I left that guy's game. I never just ran out of the session, but it was after that, after the session where I encountered, I said, okay, I'm gone. I'd leave right away. I'd leave that right away, Black Rose. I would not stay in that game at all. Like, dude, yeah, that's dumb. Because it leads to you're saying something that should not happen if he's good at running the game. He should not be cheating. That would I consider cheating if you're forcing something in that's unnecessary. He forced me to show person how I was acting, just telling what my actions wasn't enough for him, and he only cared about having us defeated. We had to run or get KO'd. It's just it leads to nothing but shit game mastering. I mean, 100% of the time. So when you hear some guy out there going, I promote this, I'm like, right away, my first thought is, man, you must be trash at the game. Like, you must be absolutely horrible. Like, you must suck because you're doing things that are unnecessary. And see, in my head, the game master is there not to make sure that you're having fun, as in laughing and good time all the time. There to challenge you, and it could be a bad night where you're failing. But the concept of that, I never really experienced it hardcore. Like I knew about it, people talked about it, but like my first-hand experience was during that module play. And I was like, this is the worst thing I've ever encountered in my life. Lord over all types of GMs. That is a Fox, man. That is painfully sad. Oh, Fox, I hope you get the invite for the group thing. Definitely join that. That's the one where we're going to game. He was an old friend, out of touch after 5 years, and when the game was over, completely lost it, put on South Park Big Gay song and rubbing himself down. At the same time, disappointing and a bit surreal. That's so sad, man. It's just such shitty gaming. I mean, I would assume Fox would say the same thing. It's shitty gaming. It's a shitty experience. It's not good gaming. Like my job is to manage your experience. Like just my whole concept of game mastering was so alternative to it that I never understood it. I always wanted players to not be happy, like, oh, they just had a good laugh, but them to be satisfied. That was my idea. It's like, look, bad night, but even on bad, say they had a bad night where they failed a lot of challenges. Sad for them, but they go, you want to know what? That's still good. They'll still say it's good. And the reason they'll say it's good is at no point do they think the game cheated them. At no point do they think I cheated them by doing this type of shit you're talking about here. And they felt like they were on the edge anyway. And by failing, by knowing I allow failure, that's actually an important thing. Because part of allowing failure, I think Fox and you and your Game Master Black Rose, you understand this. By not fudging dice and allowing failure, players take your game more serious. And that's actually better for their future experience. Especially that early time where they've had to go through it and you've allowed them to fall on their face. They're like, well, there's nothing safe here, man. It's not like he's out to get us, but Steven's not going to fudge the dice. Like, it's going to be a serious challenge tonight. And you could take that serious into the bank. Like, you can come in with the intents on the edge. Better be ready. And, but like in a positive way, right? It's like, better be ready. This is serious. This is a fucking game right here. I like that type of reaction. It's a weirdly positive reaction, even on bad nights. There's a credibility there, and players don't feel like they're cheated, or it's like every character death I've ever experienced where it's in my game. Every player is not happy they lost their character, but they're not sad, or like in a way that they're not like upset with me, like the game treated them. Like they're satisfied. And in future games, it becomes a weirdly, well, not a weirdly for a lot of people, it'd be weirdly, but it becomes a positive spin because now they know to take, especially after that first experience that you lose a character in my game, you just know, better take this serious. There, like it's like you hear that there's a spooky something, like not spooky something, you see shadows around the corner. In my game, you're just like, oh, you're paying attention. Why? Well, because, well, that's something. You could die here. And it's not like I'm going to sit there and try to get your character skill, but you you at least have, there's a credibility to my game. That danger is danger. Right? And I want that to be a positive thing, not a negative thing, to keep you on the edge. To make it exciting that there's a threat, not that you could just walk through. Right? And it doesn't mean you can't kick ass at times, but you got to be careful so you don't run in and get your ass kicked so easily or something like that. I like that type of outcome, but it's not like I was looking for it to happen. It's just when it has to happen, and I'm not going to fudge dice, it's going to happen, right? My whole concept of game mastering, I never even, like my first bit of game mastering, I never even thought of adversarial DM versus player. Like my players right away, I remember new players would join me like, oh, we kicked your ass tonight. No, you didn't. What do you mean? Like, well, you were fighting us with the goblins. I'm like, no, the goblins were fighting you. Because I have a completely different view. Like, I'm representing the goblins, but they're not me. And I'm not going to add anything, and I don't care if you kick their ass. I'm actually quite okay with you kicking their ass. Like, I don't feel like I have a dog in the fight. Like, I don't feel anything when you're kicking their ass. I'm not like, oh, my only thing as a game master is to make sure I'm hoping the challenge is good. I'm hoping the overall experience is going to be good, right? That's what I'm worried about. So I've just heard some old school D&D YouTubers around here who brag. They talk in a positive way about the adversarial thing with the DM, and I'm like, well, my only experience with it is always shitty game mastering. So what are they saying? Like, hey, look, we're shitty game masters. I'm like, okay, dude, you say that on your stream or your fucking video. Wouldn't be me. I think it's so stupid. So stupid. And I DM the way I want to play the game too. So here's what's good about me. Even though I retired after 10 years, I really made sure, and I told you guys, well, I've told you, Black Rose, about this before. I made sure to never forget what it was to be a player and apply that thinking so I wouldn't get rusty in that zone of caring what a player goes through. Uh, but I always ran the game as if like this is a game I want to play. So it's like I would never run a game where I'm like I always examine how I ran the game compared to how I would enjoy it, and I'm like right away would I enjoy what I did tonight? And if I felt like I wouldn't, I'd adjust. I'd start evolving what I'm doing. But yeah, that was terrible. Tomb of Horrors, DM adversarial, Lord over all, just so dumb, so dumb. And every horror story I hear is from like players that like talk about DMs like that. I'm like, well, they don't leave. Like I want people to think of me as it's not a break thing, but of course I want to be known as a good game master. Of course, reputation matters. I was a public game master. It's not like an ego boost, but it's just to make sure I'm running a good game that I'm satisfied. And I'm actually satisfied with this experience for the players. I'm actually happy when they're happy, right? Or at least I'm happy when they've had a good time, even if it's like, oh man, we failed tonight, but it's not in a bad way, right? It's in a bad way where it sucks that they fail, but they're talking about failing the game, not that I failed as a game master. It sucks tonight, man. I fucking missed that chance to get that thing. Yeah, dude, that sucks. At no point are they mad at me about the way I game mastered. It's completely fine. I game master good. And the idea that you're always laughing and all this, that's all bullshit. When they say gaming is all about fun, I'm like, no, gaming is all good, not about fun. Like fun is a byproduct of what you're doing. So if you have a really positive night, you're doing good, right? Well, definitely. But just all around, players are usually having a good time when they're focused on playing the game. And they trust you. So when it's some signs like that can definitely give it to you, Bill. But my sign of being a good game master is always players completely trust me. It's gaining that complete trust with them. And then under the trust factor, they're no longer concerned about me in any way. There's no worry that I'm bad. It's they feel the freedom to completely focus on the game, right? And when players feel that type of security, that they have a credible person at the helm. Uh, every player I've ever known tells me that's what they're looking for. That's it. Pure trust where they can play the game. Now, there's all kinds of positives that come from that, like doing things like you're saying. They're focused on the game, figuring out what a plot could be, uh, shit like this. But it's not just that. It's the satisfaction of knowing they can just focus on playing the game. That's usually been my gimmick. And the other thing is being on the edge too. You know. Oh, I hear that. Like, here's when some players tell me they're having a great time. It's like they're in the middle. They see a shadow up ahead. They're experienced players in my game, and they'll be like, "Oh shit, dude!" Like they're actually worried, and they'll tell me after I talk to them. I've talked to a lot of players about stuff like this. What they enjoy about those moments is that it's first off they're happy with me as a game master, so that's a start off positive. But they're actually worried, like worried not in a way that it's going to be me versus them, right? In that way, but worried as in they're in a credible game. Like let alone they trust me, they know the game is serious. Like they know around that fucking corner could be something incredibly dangerous. And they know I'm not going to be someone who just pushes up, but they can just take that to the bank. Oh yeah, well, but it's all that. It's just when they can focus on all that stuff and they got credibility with you, or you got credibility with them. That's the best state of mind players can have. That all the good stuff you could take signs after that, but it's like you start there. I always tell DMs or game masters until you build up your trust with your players, there's always going to be what ifs, right? Like so, that's a necessary. But yeah, figuring out the plot can be really, really good. Like figuring out the answer to something, right? Or sometimes thinking they have. Now you know that, Bill. Oh, we know what's going on. This guy's doing this. You're like, now you know they're not really onto the right plot. You're like, you got. I tell game masters, poker face. Players are having fun. Don't get it wrong. Sometimes they get it right. Sometimes they get it wrong. But you better go poker face. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, don't have a common reaction to mistakes. And a game master will be like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, just say every time they screw up, you're just like, but every time they might be right, you're like, poker face. That means if they're right or wrong, same reaction. Did pan face. Did like, yeah, okay. It has to be the same thing every time. Your reaction has to be just dead on if they got it right or not. Because players are always trying to figure out the plot. Like in some cases, like I don't do pre-made plots. So I always do here's what's going down in the world. Here's potential hooks you can take on. And then I do like I go old school sandbox. So a plot will come in at one point. Maybe we'll eventually get one developed. But plots develop in my game. Plots really truly develop. So I at a certain point I will come up with an answer, but it's I try to be as loose as I can be, so I don't get them like on a railroad. Because plots can be terrible. Pre-made plots can be terrible. I just go, let's figure out what's going on, and and Traveler, that's a really drilling point. Like they really don't want you to have plots in Traveler. In Traveler, it's like you got the game down here. Why? Who knows? You got a politician over here. Why? Who knows? But your common sense should start putting it together as players go forward. But it depends on what they interact with. They interact with the game. Okay, so while they're interacting with the game, you're like, well, they're down there. I'm going to have them. You come up with a random reason why they're down there. They're trying to get money. Okay. Well, wait. You know what? I could say that the politician is behind what they're doing. And so it's that type of common sense where I start piecing things together myself. So there's by a certain point, it depends on where we're at in the game. If we have a fully established plot, right? But at a certain point, I will start establishing things. Once I establish a few things, well, then we're on. Like once I do get plot in line, it's usually related to what the players are interacting with. So I know in a way they're going to keep interacting with that thing, and I don't going to force it. Like they're making plans to go deal with the gang. They're making plans to find out what's behind the thing. Okay, let's establish that plot now. Because now I don't get to railroad it. Now I know players are going to interact with that right away. Period. And I like making stuff up as we go. I do. I'm old school. Some guys get intimidated improvising. I'm just like, but yeah. To me, it's when players are doing things. Combat can be quite interesting because I'll do a lot of interaction with the enemies and that. But yeah, it depends. It depends. It depends on what players you got too. Because as you know, Bill, you get some players are creative. Some players are just swing their weapon. Like you wish more players were creative. I usually hope to get one or two in a party, like in a group, that are going to be the guys that are going to do a lot of the crazy thinking. Like one of my earliest campaigns online, say around 2000, there was a kid named going by the name Parn on Open RPG, and he was the guy who would come up with like, all right, let's make a bomb and blow down the wall. and start coming up with like alchemy things and things to blow the fucking wall up to get into a place. And I'm like, well, it's good to have him. Because everyone else is sort of just like, how do we get in? Pern's like, fuck it, I'm gonna make a bomb. We're gonna make a bomb and get in. And he was crazy. But he was a thinker. He was the guy who was gonna go in and blow the shit up to get inside something. I was like, yep, okay. Like, I like him. I like him. And I know right away, without him even trying, people will just follow his ass. And I like people that don't try to pretend to be a leader. They just are. Like, I like getting guys in a group that are good leaders without trying to be a leader. Like, he's the guy who's going to think so much, you're just going to sort of go along with what he's saying. Why don't we go down here and do this? Because most of the players are trying to figure out what the fuck to do, right? There's like, where do we go? What should be the safe move? And they'll hear some like player get the confidence. Oh, maybe we go down here and do this. And they're like, okay. Or at the very least, guys like that, when you have a player like that in your group, he's going to help trigger the other players to think. So, guys like him will help other people around him play better. Because the more he's willing to talk and move that motor along through social interaction, especially in the game through his character, it's going to force the other players to have to think about what he's saying, but even then come up with their own stuff to add. Well, we could do this, but why don't we do this? Again, once we get into that zone, that's playing. That's focus playing. And one of those, part of the flow of playing for players is, again, that trusting. And Parn was a crazy player who just fully trusted me. Like, there's no question. He knew I could run the game. So he had no question about it. He just had no worries at all with me. Never examined what I was doing. Never worried if I knew what the fuck was up. He just knew I did. Complete confidence and a very intelligent young guy. So here's a fucking crazy player who just knows I absolutely got my hands on the thing and I have things under control, right? But he also knew I was a creative guy that would let players try anything. That's another thing. That's one thing I don't like. I hate to say it, the raw DMs, the guys that rules is written. The guys who, if you pitch an idea with something that is not inside the box, they really can have a hard time with it. Where he knew, because he's a creative player, well, doesn't say you can exactly do the thing with this, but let me pitch it at Steven. Steve might say yes. And he knew I would think about shit like, sure. But I mean, it had to be good, idea, credible idea. But it just, he knew as a very smart young guy, it's like, and that's, I use him as an example because I love players like that. I love players that are fucking crazy. Like, give me the fucking crazy guy. Not crazy stupid. Not crazy just show off. But as in, look, he's smart. And if you need to play on an edge or try something very unique, this guy's going to do it. And he's going to speak up in character too. I like the fact that the guy talked in character all the time. Like, just confidently talked in character. Just ready, talked in character. It's like, yep, good. And complete flow of the game. So little things like that are important. Now I'm just going on randomly. In some games, it can be very good. In some games, it can blow you up. Like the superhero games. Boom. But he also liked, here's what guys like him like in my game. They notice I don't play favorites. He'll talk the most, but I'm still going to drive it what the others are doing. Even the most quiet guy in the group. And with like guys like him, they'll notice if I have an NPC around. They'll realize I'll have an NPC trying to do a lot of interaction or talk with the person who's not doing much in the group. And always give attention. Like he'll notice, and people like him will notice with me. We're playing the game. I'll be like, okay, guys, just right quick. So, all right, what's your character thinking? And right away, people will pick up on the fact that that person's not participating much. And there I am as a DM asking that player right away, what is their character thinking? I'm not just shining spotlight on the most creative player in the group. Like I'm actually putting some attention onto players that aren't getting much and aren't speaking up. And that is always assigned to the other players, and I always take it. They've always taken it over the years. I'm always glad my players do, especially the more creative ones. Like if Perrin notices a quiet guy in the group, and I'm the one asking him questions, Perrin has his character start talking to that guy more. That's a good example of me, like one of my early campaigns on here. But usually, I have my more experienced players right away. I ask them even outside the game, like if we get a quiet person here, talk to them because I know that guy will talk to anybody. So I'm like, talk to him. Don't leave a player in the background, right? Because it is a group game, not an individual game. And that guys like that love that because they were like because they go into games where Perrin knows Perrin. I get Perrin's example before he gets to me because he's such a creative player. He would get a lot of attention from DMs, and he actually got complaints from other players saying like, yeah, you know what, I don't really want to play with you because it's like it's all about you. And when he came into my game, he realized he didn't even say anything to me. I found this out like later from him. He's like, dude, you're so good at this shit. It's like, why? He's like, every other DM would just give me attention because I talk so much and would ignore other players. He's like, you don't. He's like, every player in your group means something to you. He says, you always drill on players that are being quiet. You always make sure they're participating. You break the ice with them all the time. I'm like, yeah. But to me, it was natural. But and I started noticing myself over the years. I see guys playing what they call favorites. So I've never played favorites even with a creative player. So I'm like, I look at the creative player like, dude, you don't need me to play favorites with you. And Pard, I remember me and Pard, one of the first guys to talk to on here. He's like, yeah, he's like, you're right. He's like, yeah, you don't need to put special attention on me. I'll take care of myself. I'm like, yeah, I know. But what does it do? It builds up the other players around him and makes the game interesting for everyone. So I always say, never just have a player sitting at the back of your fucking table not saying much. Bring everyone in. Make sure. Ask that guy questions. Have NPCs talk to that guy. Have your more creative players talk to the guys that aren't participating much. Get them into the fucking dialogue. And every player I had that would come quiet with me, I'd hear other DMs like, man, like I remember the first guy I had in the 90s. It was like around 93. There was a player who everybody just said, man, I don't know why he's in the hobby. And they're like, why? He joins games, he does a bit, but he doesn't say anything. And he had been like, I talked to like 5 DMs who had DM'd him because they tell me he's a really nice guy, but he barely plays the game. Right? They feel bad for him. Right? They feel really bad. He's like, I'm shy. I'm like, all right, will he join my game? Like, we'll ask him. I'm like, okay. Got him in my game. By the end of the campaign in my game, he's fucking joking around, talking, active, coming up with ideas. And all 5 of these DMs at the end of it just said, that is not the guy we encountered. I was like, I guarantee it's not. Because I took that guy out of a shell. I remember hitting guys with that like tack and slash that would do a lot of miniature play before they run to me. They wouldn't even do social interaction. They were barely talking character. By the end of playing with me, now talking in character is fun for them. Now who their character is fucking interesting. Now they're having a fucking great time. They still like their action, but now they're actually socializing. And right away when the DM would pick up that player for me, he's like, yeah, that guy's played in my game before. He's like, he just come in and just play the action all the time and skip all the social interaction. Now the guy talks to every NPC he's running into. I'm like, yeah, I know. Because I will develop players into something all the time. I always thought it was necessary. I always told other DMs, I said, when I bring players in my game, either they're already going to be good and they don't really need my help, or the guys who aren't good, trust me, I'll get them. I'll get them where they got to go. 3rd edition really poisoned me because I had a guy that was in 2 campaigns in person, and he wanted to join an online campaign because I started on the online stuff, and he played in 3 3rd edition sort of short run campaigns. By the time he got back to me, I had to do what I called therapy for him, but not like therapy, but it's like he played so simple minded compared to when he played with me that I was mad at him. Because he came in with such a simple way. I was like, dude, what happened to you? It's like, I played 3rd edition. I was like, well, let me guess. You're looking at your character sheet, not thinking. He's like, yeah. All right, dude, we got to get you back to where you got to think. So third edition really pissed me off because, like, I run a mind game where I'm going to challenge your mind all the time. And he was really good playing my game, but then he went and played third edition for about like 2.5 years. Comes back to me online, completely mind numb, fucked himself. Like it was just completely numb the player. Because in third edition, even in fourth edition of 5e, you really do just look at the character sheet and pick A, B, or C as an option. That's most of the game for you. And that means most of the thinking is just off the table. You're just taking options, and that's your thinking for you right there. Perception check rolls, no longer role playing through things. Terrible. Boring. So there you go. Being random, because I'm just, my brain was a bit melted before I got here. People making cakes. I understand rewards for creating thinking. You got, in consequence of our decisions, the reward thing for creative thinking is important. I tell game masters not to get too simple-minded about it, because rewards don't always have to be experience points, but reward creative thinking as in they try something and something happens, even if a roll goes bad. It doesn't mean it's good as, oh, they get XP all the time or just get gold or get success when they failed. But they might have discovered that there's more to something. Like there is I always make sure that I've told game masters over the years, when you get players playing in a way that you want to have play, that creative thinking, Bill, sometimes you can reward them for being successful. That's great. They get into a treasure thing. They get the XP for doing this. Sometimes they still fail. What do you do then? Because you don't want to just have things go unrewarded completely. So what I do is do like minor beneficial things would happen. Like you fail, but you're going to hear a noise that tells you something about something ahead of you. You're going to have a realization of something, right? You're going to get a slight positive reaction that says your attempt to do something beneficial here or good is still going to get a slight reward. And that really does work as an incentive to get players to keep playing that way. Because I have found over the years I'll watch guys in other games. They fail at something. No reward. Fail at something again. Nothing coming back to them for it. And then you realize they do shut down. Like the creative thinking goes away. Not that they can't do it. They just don't think there's any value in that game to doing it. Even worse when you do creative thinking and there's no effort to turn it into anything. Right? Like there's like sometimes it's going to be a bad idea. Not all creative thinking is exactly the magic you want it to be. But if I thought like the idea wouldn't work, like it's so obvious it won't work, I'd still have like a guy do an intelligence check, dude. He'd do one. I'd be like, well, you have an instinctive thought come to you because I don't play with player agency. Like so, I agree that players should have complete control of their character where they can control. But there's some things I think are okay for a GM to step in and do when it's what I call instinctive. Like it's like a thought that it's just going to come to you because you're looking at something. And you know what I mean? If we're looking around at something or think about something, suddenly a thought comes, oh shit. That's not like a controlled thought. It's a thought that comes to you, right? So I might like say, okay, the idea might not be that fucking wise, but give me an intelligence check if your players give me this type of effort. And if they make it, now look, sometimes you got to say no, but I want to give them a sign that there could be more. So that's a hint that it's not a waste of time trying, but maybe they hit a wall somewhere, but they got to keep trying. So I do want it. If they pass the intelligence check, well, okay, the idea might not be exactly something that's going to work out for them. I'll go, it definitely looks like it won't work. But also, here's a thought that came to you while you're looking at it. And that's a possibility of how can you do something a different way. Like just a piece of information that comes in that's going to help them go, oh, I see what the flaw is. But it's definitely the game master making sure Like, and my intent is to make sure the player knows I want that thinking. Like, dude, I want it. I want it. Damn, I want it so badly. So incentive is really good. Let's see. And I think you're meaning high diving. You mean like high fiving each other in the middle of combat. Like, well, put it this way. I get your statement there because you said high diving. That's what was confusing me a little earlier. But high fiving, or they're laughing about something, right? Like they're talking like I got this guy. Okay. I love it when players interact with combat and interact with enemies. And I'll even have the enemies talk shit to them in the middle of the fight. I'll have enemies actually give up actions on purpose because I try to be realistic. Like, is the goblin always going to just swing at you because that's the game mechanic thing? It's his turn to attack, so he attacks. Maybe just on his turn, he's like he gives you the finger and like, ha. You're like, what the fuck? You're like, what is he doing? It's like he's making a face at you, give you the finger. I remember players walking up where they get separated from the group and they'll run to a group of goblins. And the goblins could all just attack them all at once. But like, what are the goblins like? He'll look at the others, or puts his hands up. It's without realizing the goblin is going to speak in goblin to the other goblin, saying, like, I got this one. Now the goblin is cocky, stupid. He's going to get his ass kicked probably, but he's like, I got this one. And the others all start sitting down and watching to laugh. And the player's like, what are they doing? Some of them are leaning up against the wall. Two of them are sitting down. One's getting out a pipe. Huh? Like he's lighting it and watching. What's going on here? Because I'm not just thinking mechanic video game. Like I think realistic. So it's like you're on the ground, the goblin could take the shot at you and kill you. Yeah, he's actually just gonna spit on the back of your head, or maybe even get gruesome, piss on you. Like what? I love realistic shit like that, where I play to the personalities of the goblins. Like, oh, they could all attack you here. They got you cornered, but no, this one thinks he's gonna kick your ass. He's the bigger of the goblins. Really? Okay. I guess. Like you see, I love players getting stunned by that because they usually to them in a D&D game, especially be like, well, it's a video game. The goblins attack me. I'm going to be surrender. No, it's just these guys are sitting down. That one's stepping forward. Like, yeah, I love little things like that of realism. Black Rose. The memories. I love it. It just to me, it brings a sense of relatable realism to it and reminds you that you're not just in a video game. You're in a world with beings with personalities. Like there's a sense of real, and it's relatable too. It's not like actions that you can't relate with in the real world. It's me doing common sense shit, but it's like it's not just the goblin video game attack on you. And I like to spin that into the game all the time. Or like imagine you walk into the room, you like bang through the door, you get through the door somehow, and there's like some naked orc. He's like standing up, he's checking somebody's gear. He's not even dressed scared up. He has no idea you're coming. Naked as can be, all you can see is his big fucking ass when you run in. You're like, this is like the boss guy. Boss guy's like turn around. Like he looks pissed off. He's not even geared to fight you. He's just looking pissed off, like, how the fuck did you get in my room? And maybe he doesn't have armor on. That's going to be a benefit to you. Is he going to get it on? Who knows? Is it a video game? No way. Is there a guaranteed chance he's going to be naked? No, but I might make a roll before you get there. He might not be geared up before you go in the room. And I love stuff like that. Or like on paper, a monster should kick your ass. but maybe the monster is injured, or some enemies might be like on paper they can kick your ass, but this guy's cocky. You're like, what do you mean cocky? I'm like, he's going to actually give up a lot of actions talking shit to you. Like he'll when he hits you, you're probably going to feel it, but he's going to do a lot of shit talking. Group of goblins are doing looting and pranks. No hostile tribe, more like shy and reclusive one. So they sneak into a camp and steal one guy's poop from a dug trench and place it outside. Yeah, like causing smelly shit to happen, trolling people. No dope. No dope. I mean, they're usually trying to get something, but a little bit of trolling can happen. So yeah, I love doing stuff like that and just reminding players that they're not just in a video game. I think it's so necessary that that's the case. You're not just in the video game. I like to make it interesting because so many DMs get so mechanical because it's a bit of nervousness and not thinking, and they're running a game. I hate to pick even especially the rules as written guys, raw guys. What I just described to you, 99% of guys that look at the game as raw rules as written never do this stuff. Like that's 99.9% of guys that view the game as completely wrong. Like you want a creative DM because it's not just that I might change something. If I'm willing to be creative, it means I might take a very, very unique approach to the game. And there's nothing that says I can't do that. Right. And I think it's a lot of fun. It doesn't mean I want just to make it that you can easily beat the goblins all the time. It's not like that at all, but there's just no guarantee something's going to be something. Or gimmick from the campaign, they stole the metal tackles, cartwheels. They were frustrated, put it mildly. Commoners. I love it when I have enemies that you'll outrank, but they don't know your level. Like they don't know that you have like you're like say you're like level 10 characters, and the creature you're gonna fight just thinks it can kick your ass. Like it's like I'm gonna fucking wipe you up, but it has no idea. It's just that it has no chance. Like you guys are so capable, you're gonna whoop it for fun. But man, I'm gonna WWE it. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna fucking hype this thing up. Like this guy's come. It's not gonna last long at all for him. You're gonna fucking whoop his ass like it's nothing. All right, but he's gonna talk like he's a level 20. Like he could take down at level 20. Knowing well of the goblins pranks, they just stole eggs and reminder. You know, some of them could do that. Some of them could be very deadly. You gotta. It's a mix of things. You do gotta understand that they won't just prank unless there's a benefit. There is always usually the prank involves stealing something too that is going to be valuable to them. Coming into your thing, pranking you, maybe a taunt you out to get you actually frustrated, to get you to come out and actually trip up something, take something from you. If they stole something from the back of your way, good, they got the thing. Now they're taking your wheels. Right. So obviously you got to measure that. That's an opinion, Black Rose. That's an opinion. It doesn't mean you have to. They could just prank. But I think I don't want all goblins to be the same either. That's exactly a cultural thing. It's cultural, but the culture, depending on like you can meet the goblins that will just. But you could find one tribe, as Black Rose is saying tribe here. One tribe could sit there and do the pranks on you, but if you run to another, if you're a player playing in this game, just say he's doing that to you. If he's really unique, like say I would be, you might be doing that. Then you run to another tribe and you think they're going to prank us. No, this tribe actually wants to get your babies and eat them. Like this is a tribe that's going to do rituals, and they got shaman, and they're going to hang you and skin you alive. That's a different tribe. Like suddenly you've gone from the pranksters to the okay, these guys don't prank the same. No, they don't prank the same. Doesn't mean they can't play a joke, but now you run to a different group. And I've even had it where goblins are fighting goblins. Orcs will fight orcs. They don't always just team up. Like, especially if there's not a lot of human competition. There might be them. It's like one tribe leader wants it a certain way, the other one doesn't agree. Well, guess what? Guess what? I've had players show up with their run up on a scene with their characters where there's actually goblins fighting other goblins. Like, what the fuck is going on here? Not realizing the goblins are competing with each other for certain things. The abuse the machine was more like a giant slingshot. It had to cover behind birds during the bombardment. Hilarious. Oh, I totally get it. Cruel. But that's part of their cruelty too, right? So like they can be pranksters. Oh, that's cute. They took your wheels. Well, now they're killing your fucking animal friends. You got to watch it. You still got to remind yourself they're evil. And I don't believe in the eye. Like to me, if you meet a good like orc or goblin, they have a mental problem. Or it doesn't mean they can't be loyal to you, but they have to be loyal. They have to see you almost like master. So their instincts can be somewhat died down. They can be controlled. They could work on your team potentially, but because of their instincts to be so aggressive, they have to see someone in your group as sort of like a master character, like someone they wouldn't fuck with. Then they'll take lead. Could you just meet Goblin who like, hey, that's Goblin Joe who just likes to be everyone's friend? No, Goblin Joe will at one point kids will start going missing. So no animals were harmed in the making of this game, dude. It's just you're not really against. It's just you're playing to the goblins. The goblins are this cool. That's you're not promoting. It's like I wouldn't even promote it either. Like I love cats, obviously. I love Louis, right? But if I had a group of goblins that I felt that would be suitable to their evil personality, I do it in the game right away. Here we go. Shit, they could even be slingshotting the kids. You got to watch out. Goblins can be just straight up pure evil, pure, pure. Especially if their leader or whoever is in charge lets them play to their worst instincts, right? That would suck. Just imagine getting the cat in your face, your nose is broken. Like you got a splat of a cat all over your face, and your fucking nose is like that would be an awful fucking way to have that go down. But I do love that type of stuff, and for that stuff to happen, you have to have game masters that are creative and open minded about what they do. They can't just read the book and go, "This is what goblins are," and I do this. Oh no, dude. But there's a lot of DMs out there that do exactly that. Black Rose, like what we're talking about, is foreign to them, like completely foreign. Like the goblins will be, you encounter them and you fight in the dungeon. Now, I'm not saying you always have to be ridiculous, but it's like it's the variation. And in some cases, it could be a tribe where you're meeting with some of the taunting group members, but it doesn't even mean every member of that tribe is like that, right? You could run into members in the tribe where when you run to these guys, they're different. Like the bigger goblins, they're going to want to fight you, right? They might even be pissed off at these sort of smaller ones, right? So it's just personalities. I like the mixture. I like having conflict where it makes sense. It's relatable. It's real. A lot of good stuff comes from that. I wouldn't want to be a groundkeeper that day. No, you wouldn't want to be the goblin who accidentally grabs the wrong cat and does that. Because just imagine there's a tower in the town, and you've done that to the wrong cat. Like I know in some games where I've had wizards that could. There's a threat coming at the town. They tell the wizard, knock on his door, he doesn't come out, doesn't care. You fucking deal with it. But he could. Well, you wouldn't want to fucking fuck with that guy's cat. Because he might like just come over and go, okay, nuke the goblins. Where's their village? Take me to it. Why? Fireball, fireballs, fireballs. Good night. They're all dead. Let's go back. Did he just fucking just nuke their entire village? Yep. Wrong cat. Shouldn't have picked that guy's cat. It was the wrong cat to choose, right? All depends. Or even worse, imagine the goblins getting their asses kicked by young people. If they get the cats, it's suddenly a bunch of, fucking young, like fucking 14-year-olds come out and kick their asses. That'd be embarrassing. Those little goblins just get their asses. Is that kids chase them off? The fuck? That'd be great. I'd love that moment. Session mimicking the screaming ammunition that flew past them and occasionally hit a wall or tree. Oh yeah, spamming. Shut the fuck up. Completely fine. Completely fine. Stop worrying. As long as it's not about fucking Warhammer and we're talking about D&D or something. Joking. No, that's good. That's good. I think that's fucking hilarious. But you got to be creative in that way. That's a lot of fun. I love. That's why I was talking. Like I love having enemies that are cocky. I love having goblins that are fucking personality shit driven. The fuck with you. And there's a lot of hinting of that in old school gaming if you really look for it. But a lot of the DMs, especially nowadays, a lot of D&D YouTubers, old school, go hear them talk. None of this is talk. Their goblins are organized fight in the dungeon. That's it. I get a few. Canada is investing in drones. I got a few. I might have to send them out from Ukraine if the Russians would stop blowing them up on me. I'll leave it at that. I won't say too much more about that. Droned. And this was actually in Warhammer setting, I believe. I play, yeah, because I know you use that for the D&D exclusively in Warhammer, and last 12 years now, still AD&D second edition though. No, I know you stick with the 2E and play with the Warhammer thing. Actually, I'm hoping on the night I do the Warhammer thing, you'll have a lot to say. I'm going to try to shock the shit out of you and really make that fun. It'd be nice if there's more than just me and you for that one, but if it's just me and you, it will at least be a good conversation at the very least. That would be good. That'd be fun. Though I have to admit, guys, I'm slightly burnt. I came on here sort of burnt out and dry, but I had those guys that were fucking bugging out on what I say about everything. It's like, look, I just want people to know in the hobby, even decent people, like, dude, first off, my criticism about the... No, I know. It's you like Warhammer, but you love the fucking setting and the fantasy. Yeah. No, completely. See, I just end up applying that stuff no matter where, like what setting you give me. That's just my mind. That's just my mind. Like I get where it can naturally come from some things you're working with. My mind just produces that no matter what I'm playing with, right? But it's anyway. I really want people to know that, and my argument is this: My critique, whenever I talk about WotC, the new school community or the old school community, that is not drama. I am responding to stuff other people are saying. It is the open dialogue. That's all I'm doing. And so I don't comment. I don't comment on that stuff. That's actually me just talking about the hobby and the good and bad and all sides of it. I like to talk about different games. I like to talk about certain issues or well-known things that I might have an opposed opinion. I don't say that for drama or to attack people, like story stuff. And for the decent people out there that get really confused, I really don't care what you're doing at your table. And even if you don't agree with me, I don't hate you. Period. You'll not play third edition, but rather second or fourth. I'm probably going to do second. So second is almost a guarantee. That's the one. That's the material he has to work with. So I'll be doing second. Yeah, I won't be doing third. Guarantee I won't be doing third. I won't be doing fourth. I'll be real with you. So you can take it to the bank that I will be covering second edition. That's it. And if you know the second edition of the game, the fantasy one, yeah, that's what I'm going to be covering. So you're good. You're safe. He just doesn't have the 4E stuff, and I asked him at last minute if he would do this, so he's bringing his stuff down. He plays other games too. Cool. Like he doesn't do it no more, but he's gonna he hasn't ran that for a while, so he does a lot of wargaming, like a lot, like a shitloads of it. He does lots of Warhammer wargaming, especially, and doing campaigns in the war game. But this is going to be straight out just fantasy. And he hasn't picked it up in a long time, but he knows second edition. He has all the material for it. So he basically is bringing it down so I can do some printing and do up the thing, right? It's like, I mean, what would be the point of that? That would be so stupid. It's like, dude, Warhammer has an entire war game. Like, you don't get to, like, the fantasy is to separate itself and be something different, right? So it's like, well, why would you have to turn the tabletop role playing game version into a back to the war game? You got a war game. Don't you want the differences to stand out? Like, wouldn't that be more necessary? I want it to be different. I want that to stand out more than trying to lean into too far into it. But I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Okay, guys, there you go. That's over 2 hours. Yeah, dry, but a little bit of a dry go stream tonight. Tomorrow night, I'll have topics. I'll post them up tomorrow. I'll make some last minute decisions, but I'll have something to talk about tomorrow for sure. That's more than just random. Come on here with a little bit of. All right, I love you guys. Fox, get on that group, and Bill and Fox and all that. Just go to the links I gave you. You can make characters, and if you need to ask me questions, ask me questions. I can't make you make the characters, so it's like you got to take the initiative and go make some characters. Do I have character sheets? No. You can use fucking. I don't care. Use notepads. I don't give a. I'm old school. I don't give a fuck with that stuff. So just go ahead and do that stuff. Regular shit. But everything you need is there. And if you have any questions, good. Ask away. But for the most part, go make what you want. You have the material. You can find a kit in there. If you pitch me one of the broken ones, you're going to get a no, right? And there's like one or two, so don't worry about that. Most likely, whatever you pitch at me is going to be safe. But there you go. Make some characters. I'd like to start next, like the Monday coming up. I would like to. But we got to have characters just to get to that stage. If you want to, what I would do is when you come up with a decision to make what character you want, post it in the open chat thing. Right? So just others can consider if they want to make a similar character or if they want to bring something else because you're going to cover something. Right? And then Monday, we can do a session, but I need you guys to have characters. All right, I like the party. +1 to die. Avoid it. I hear you. All right. Good night, Black Rose. Good night, everyone. I love you guys. Take care.